Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Welcome to another episode of a show we haven't named yet, we will soon. But anyways, what we do here is we discuss major misconceptions. So we did theology, Mohammed Hijab is theology. What did we do after theology? We did the punishments in Islam. We did the qiraat with
authenticity of scriptures and stuff,
yes,
like preservation.
Exactly. So
like
today what we're going to do is together we're going to discuss regarding issues of marriage,
women's issues,
and women's issues, inshallah. And what we're going to do here is the reason we're doing this is there's a lot of misconceptions being thrown left, right, centre, and this is a program which is here for you to reclaim your iman back and uplift it, inshallah. Join us in this journey. Let's get straight into it.
Okay, so we've got some questions, but before I do go into that, inshallah, because this is about women's issues, and we put up a lot of content, alhamdulillah, already about feminism and things like that. So obviously I've got a whole playlist on my YouTube channel. You can check it, and you've done some stuff here. You've done it in university settings. So obviously that's an important, I would say, starting point. If you do have the time, I'd highly recommend that you watch that stuff, because there are some philosophical first principle things that I would like you guys to know. But before let's move on, actually, let's ask some questions, some basic fundamental questions. Why does Islam allow polygamy?
Well, to be honest, like, we're just going to talk about not just the reason, but maybe the wisdoms behind it. Yeah? So for example, obviously, we know back in the days when there was no DNA, if a woman had sexual intercourse with 4 men, you're not going to know who the father is. But if a man had 4 wives, you know who the father is, who the mother is. That's before. Today, you might say there's DNA. Back in the days, people would go to war. When you go to war, a lot of the time, men are the ones who die. Actually, to be honest, even recent studies show that women live longer than men. So there's a variety of reasons. Also, for example, sometimes the population of women are greater. Now, today you might come and say to me, oh, no, that's different. Maybe there's more men than women. Yes, but are they divided proportionately? You know, that's another thing. And one other thing is, this is not based, when people ask the question, why does Islam? What do you mean Islam? Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Mormons, they all are in this, like, they allow it. Why are you making it seem like it's only Islamic? And also, it's not something bad anyways, Alhamdulillah, this is from Allah, and we hear and we obey, because there's wisdom behind it, because Allah says you might hate something which is good to you, and you might love something which is bad for you, Women have their tests, which they decide, and we do also as well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, there's a lot of wisdom behind it, and non-Muslims indulge in this. I'm sorry, how many guys we know, well, not know, but like you know, non-Muslims who indulge, they have side chicks, girlfriends, mistresses on the side. Islam says if you're going to do it, you do it the right way. You can't just oppress another woman and use her for your sexual desires and chuck her away. You do it the right way. You marry, you honor her, etc., and treat them equally. And Islam is the only religion that puts precautions in place. And Allah says if you can't be just, marry only one.
I think you've covered the majority of the ground there.
No.
I'll just say that from a philosophical perspective, I think there's a false assumption of absolute equality. And we're not talking about general equality, but an absolute equality between men and women in all cases. And it's with that false assumption, which is again a feministic presupposition, that one has come to the conclusion that okay, there should be, for instance, in this case, there should be an equality for marriage. But this is a unsubstantiated false assumption, because as I've explained in some of the videos, when we say that men and women should be equal, is that in all cases though? Are there not exceptional cases where in which
men in all places?
And that's within a feminist framework, and which is why you'll find that feminists talk about, for example, maternity leave. They talk about equal, different treatment in prisons for women than it is for men.
Exactly.
The Fawcett Society had a whole publication that they put up on that thing. So the assumption is a false one, but you can obviously refer to my videos for more information, inshallah. Okay, so moving on to the next question: is forced marriage allowed in Islam?
Okay, as far as I know, there's a hadith that says that you cannot force.
There's a hadith that says al-bikru tusta'dhan, which means that the virgin girl is to be asked before she gets married. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, scholars like Ibn Uthaymeen, Shawkani, many scholars of the past, Shawkani, and many of the past, etc., have said that means that she can never be forced against her will to marry someone that she doesn't want to marry. So it's very clear in Islam, according to this hadith and according to that opinion, that obviously that's a false assumption that forced marriage in that kind of way would be allowed in Islam. And people get confused between arranged marriage and forced marriage, don't they, Ali?
Yes, that's the thing. It's a cultural thing. There's a cultural thing of we're going to take you back home and stuff like that. And some people actually leave Islam because of this. And I did a video about this where I was like, sister, you left Islam for something that is not within Islam. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. And obviously I think there's a forced marriage act now as well in law. So there's no two ways around it. There's no such thing in this. You can't do that even if you wanted to do that. Anyways, why do women need a male companion to travel? So once again, this is a question of
if I'm not mistaken, if a woman wanted to travel to another country, I heard that her wali, or like her father, can take her to that country and come back. She can stay there. Is it?
Well, look, we're not going to go into the differences of opinion because there are differences of opinion within Islam as to how long and all these things, 48 miles, or is it whatever it may be, and Ibn Taymiyyah's exceptional opinion, or whatever it may be. Now, we're not going to go into that. What I am going to say is that why not? I mean, we know that the world. The assumption here, the Quran says in chapter 4 verse 34, that men are maintainers and protectors of women. So part of male's remit is that they are to be the security guard, the bodyguard of women, if you like. And this is something really interesting because Warrell Farron, in his book The Myth of Male Power, he responded to those who say, well, women are, they don't get paid for their babysitting, they don't get paid for their for example, their housework, all the things that they rightfully, should be praised for, etc. He responded to that by saying that men don't get paid for their security guard work, because most men are security guards in their own home. If a burglar comes into the house, 9 out of 10 cases, a man's going to deal with it physically and put his life in danger.
Even if it's spider.
Yeah, so I don't know why this is seen as a negative for women, where a man is actually expected, right? Especially in the case of Hajj, etc. Hajj. Is that man is expected to be the protector of a woman. She's getting a free bodyguard, a free security guard, if you like. So it should be the case. If anyone's asking the question, if we want to invert this question, we can ask the question: why is the man not being paid for this?
Yeah, it's true.
Or why does the man have to do this?
He's going out to work, and back in the days when people go, their lives are in danger. They would go on for months, like they figured we're not coming back.
And the question would be then a secondary question, a sociological one, if you like: a woman. How can you assume that a woman needs a security guard or a bodyguard? And that would be a very foolish thing to ask in the age of rape. And that's the thing that feminists put forward. Look, we live in a rape culture. So if we live in a rape culture and you can get free security guards, or it's mandated upon men to be security guards, wouldn't that help the problem that feminists highlight?
It's pathetic. What are you going to do while you're getting raped? Don't. I'll deal with it. I don't need a man.
No, especially when you go into foreign lands, and especially in places like the desert where this revelation was initially sent.
Yes.
This is we're talking about a place which is desolate, derelict.
Yeah.
So I genuinely do believe
there's a lot
that
of wisdom behind it.
There is wisdom. There's definitely wisdom behind it.
Yeah, and women who truly know their womanhood, they appreciate and value this. Yeah. It's only those who are trying to compete, trying to be like men, who are like, oh no, you.
Exactly, and no, I don't think any feminist would argue that a woman is stronger than a man. Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways. Are Muslim men allowed to beat their wives? Now, I've done a video on this. It's about 13-15 minute video or something like that. So I would say, watch that video. But to kind of summarize, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "La tadribu ima Allah." The misconception here is not the verse Surah Nisa chapter 4 verse 34, "Fadribuhunna," then hit them. The misconception is that these individuals making it seem as if the default position is to go and hit the woman. That's not the default position. As I argued in that video, the hitting is done as a reaction to the nushuz.
Yeah. So are we talking about any ordinary woman?
So he's defending himself against the nushuz of the woman. Nushuz here is in English is usually translated as rebellion. So it's not you can never argue that this is a proactive step. You can only argue that this is a reactionary step. There's no doubt about that. There's no difference of opinion on this. Yeah, no one can say that a woman is sitting there, for the sake of argument, a man's going to go and hit. No, he only does it in reaction. So he's defending himself against the nushuz of the woman.
Someone can say, are you trying to just legitimate hitting? What do you mean?
I think anybody can say.
So what are we talking about here? Let's talk about something. A woman is coming and she's angry and she slaps the baby. Well,
in that situation, no doubt. I mean, he has to physically remove the woman. He has to put the baby in. These are good examples.
Okay, what if in today's time I hear a lot of brothers, their wives are, they're coming, they're physically attacking.
Well, what kind of a man wouldn't defend himself? That's my question, right? What kind of a man would not defend himself against something like that? What kind of a human wouldn't? Yeah, it doesn't have to be a man.
You can watch the video in detail.
Watch the video in detail, inshallah. Are Muslims allowed to rape their female captives? And this is in reference to, I think, chapter 4, verse 24 in the Quran. So this is a false understanding, right? Rape, do you know what they say? They basically say this is the belief that they have. They believe that we as Muslims, in the state of the classical period, were allowed to capture these, what they call the sabi, the females and the children, and without any, we can just go into them like that and do these things. Taban, this was an institution of indentured servitude that was existing at the time, which Muslims operated within, and did not was not abrogated or anything like that. So yes, there was that capturing of these women. Yes, it did happen, but at the same time, there was not this idea of, okay, let's quickly grab and rape. In fact, there was almost all of the scholars talk about, there being some kind of idda period. So if they were married before, well, they use this verse in chapter 4 verse 24, and they say, "Illa ma malakat aymanukum" here means that you can rape the captives, and there's no idda, etc. And there is idda. You have to wait. And there is one principle which any Muslim knows, is la darar wa la dirar. You cannot cause harm or reciprocate harm. So how can you be allowed not to cause harm, and at the same time you're harming a person by, I'm sorry to be very graphic here, when you rape someone, if you rape someone, they don't have any lubrication, they'll be in a state of severe pain. So this will definitely cause them pain. And this will be something which is not allowed by the Sharia. And this is something by the way, Shafi'i said this in his Kitab, Kitab al-Umm, he's one of his books that he actually wrote hand by hand. He said you're not allowed to do rape the female slaves, etc., the female servants, and etc. So this is...
like the process of how would he treat like captives, is like the slaves that he had.
Exactly.
Okay. And by the way, we're talking about slaves, this makes it very clear, yeah? The connotation that you have is not what's in your head. Like, somebody being tied up. No, so let's just get that connotation out there, That's not the case. The Prophet ﷺ would clothe them how he would clothe himself. He would feed them how he would feed himself. So let's make this very clear, because when we're talking about slavery...
we talked about that as well.
We talked about, is that
in the previous...
I was going to say
in the previous, sorry, I think.
Also, when you talk about captives, also let's just make it clear that these are war captives, yeah? Okay, so let's just make it clear that you're going to war, and when the men are killed, you're not living in there, you've got Tesco around the corner. If you leave them, they're going to die. The women and the children are going to die, so they do take them on board and they do live with them. So let's make it clear.
So it's a way of reincorporating them into the social...
Of course. There's a context behind it.
There's no doubt about that. Okay. Does Islam promote FGM? Now, let me be very clear. Yeah, FGM, as described by the World Health Organization, is the removal of the labia or the clitoris. Yes. Now, here's my question, my counter question. If this is the definition of FGM, why is a transsexual operation not FGM? Because it doesn't stipulate. Yes, it does say something about medical reasons, but this is not a medical reason. This, you could argue, is a cosmetic surgery. Yes, it's a cosmetic surgery. So why would it not? And this is a debate I had, by the way, in Speaker's Corner. You can find the link below, or not below, but you can just write Mohammed Hijab, for example, FGM. Why then? Yeah, would you come and talk to us about FGM as if it's some kind of Muslim-specific thing? In fact, if you look at the demographics, you'll find that it happens in Africa, in these countries, but it also happens in the West, because, as we said, these transsexual operations, really and truly, they are FGM. Another point I wanted to make is that when we talk about mutilation, mutilation means literally deformation. You're going to deform a sexual organ of a human being. And taken on that definition, there is no way Islam would ever allow this kind of thing. It would not allow this kind of deformation. So
okay, but they can easily come and say somebody who's changing their gender is willing and asking, rather than somebody who is being forced to.
No, but the principles are the same. You're still if someone, for example, right, wants to, if someone wants to go forward and mutilate their vagina.
Yeah, but they want to.
Yeah, if they want to, but it's still in sociological terms, it'd still be seen as gone through the process of FGM.
Okay, so in actual definition, they are actually going through mutilation.
Yeah, they are.
But they can say one is being forced, one isn't. One's being
no problem. But they're both being done. If a woman, if an Ethiopian woman goes to Ethiopia willingly to the so-called doctor, telling them to remove fully her labia. Yes, she's done that with her own volition, but it would still be counted as her doing FGM to herself.
In Islam, can you force somebody to do that?
Here's the thing. In Islam, it's very clear that there's ijma' on the fact that they conflate terms. So circumcision for a man, there's a discussion on it. Circumcision for a woman, there's a discussion on that as well. Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no one can force you to do anything with your genitalia. Yeah, as an adult person, you can do what you want. It's the same kind of thing, right?
It's not like something like, it's not like tawheed. It's not like something like
no one can force you to do anything with your genitalia. And if you do decide to circumcise yourself, which obviously Muslims do, Muslim, as I'm sure not only just
because that means
Jews,
we all mutilate ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Mass mutilation.
It's MGM, male genital mutilation in that case. But usually they accept this kind of things.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next question.
Okay.
Why do women have to wear hijab and men don't? Once again, it's that false presumption of equality in all cases. If a man takes off his shirt and the woman takes off her shirt in a hot summer's day, it's not the same, even according to their culture. The question is, who defines the social norms as it relates to clothing, attire, garments? They are using, once again, the sociological understanding of clothing and superimposing it on the Muslim framework. Why does it have to be that they wear the same clothes? Haven't women got different bodies to men? Shouldn't the fact that different things should be treated differently as a premise hold with clothes?
Exactly.
If you're saying this different things should be treated the same, the question is, how can you prove this?
Yeah. Equality is not justice.
Exactly. So if we have different bodies, by extension that should suggest
we have different needs.
We have different needs, and with clothing we have different things that we should wear. So once again, and this again, like you, as you know, you live in an area with lots of Jews. The niqab is being worn by Jewish women. Face covering, Haredi Jews, ultra Orthodox Jews, they wear that. It's not a Muslim specific thing. Nuns wear hijabs. You know, it's not a Muslim specific thing. Simone de Beauvoir herself, who wrote The Second Sex. If you go online and you YouTube her name, you'll see her wearing a hijab.
What is it?
She is wearing a head covering. I've never seen the woman. I don't know why. I've never seen the woman not wearing a head covering. I've never seen the woman not wearing a head covering. Every time I see her, she's wearing a head covering. Why doesn't someone, and she's the mother of modern day second wave feminism. Why doesn't someone come and say it to her? Why are you wearing that?
Does she belong to a certain religion, or is it? What is it?
No, she doesn't believe in religion. She is like the mother of second wave feminism.
That's quite interesting. Man. Even the Jewish women, they wear a wig. They cover their hair.
Yeah, Book of Corinthians. Yeah. Either wear or shave the head off.
Yeah. You need to wear, and there's a lot of reasons behind it as well. You know that we can go into, but it's just a form of it's like a form of modesty. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like even if you look today, like even you look today, you can. Nobody's saying if you dress a certain way, we are told to lower our gaze. Besides how you dress, niqab, miniskirt, whatever, we are told to lower our gaze. The factor is not. The premise is not okay. Allah's ordered you to cover yourself because men can't control themselves. There's this big misconception about that. Yeah, that we men, Muslim men are crazy, and if you don't cover yourself, we're going to jump on you. No, it's actually empowering because when a woman covers up, this is what I believe, and I'm not degrading those who don't. I'm just saying somebody who covers up and they've got hijab on, you can't. If you're interacting with her, which you should lower your gaze anyway, you don't see anything that distracts you or makes you fall in love the wrong way. You're seeing the face, so you can interact with the face. But sometimes this is true. One lady on the morning show was speaking, and she was saying my driver was driving me. At one moment, I realized he moved his head, and I was thinking, what's he looking at? And he goes, I looked, and there was a woman in a miniskirt, yeah? So she was saying, I'm sorry, they're discussing this issue of should a girl wear miniskirt or not. And this is a non-Muslim in a morning show, liberal, outright liberal, saying, it affects men. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's just there, and men have the modesty as well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's to both parties to protect themselves and not to see each other as just sexual objects. So a way of liberating yourself, like maybe...
I think that's a very good way.
How she's doing it. Yeah. What's her name?
De Beauvoir.
Yeah, her. Maybe she's doing that by liberating and saying, I'm in control of my sex. Yeah. I'm not going to be, stand in front of a car and a chocolate bar. What the hell have I got to do with a chocolate bar in a car?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. I think, once again, they can refer to my videos for that, because I have more information on that. And I've done a video on this as well. Alright, why is a woman's testimony considered half of that of a man's? Now, you have to differentiate between two technical terms in Arabic language. One of them is riwayah and the other one is shahada. Both of them, if you translate them into the English, will be witness or testimony or something to that effect. But the truth is, both of them are not the same. Yeah. So, riwayah is narration. Now, for example, in the study of hadith, one relies upon narration, and you could say that riwayah, in many ways, has been more impactful on our religion, because without narrators we would not have the words of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And I don't know of any difference. There is some difference of opinion potentially, but the majority of muhaddithin would say that a woman's one testimony is equivalent to a man's one testimony in that sense.
What's evidence to that? Aisha
anha. Yeah.
2,200 hadith.
Yeah. So
Aisha, they would say, oh no, we need you to be with someone else. You're the only woman.
So Aisha and others, they make that clear. They are mass narrators of hadith.
Yes.
They are women, right?
Yes.
And in fact, Dhahabi has something interesting to say about this. He says that there's only 4 women to kulli ma fihinna that have been spoken about. In other words, that jarh has been done, or a critique has been done on them. So in other words, that they have not been accepted in the narrations.
Okay.
Whereas with men, there are many more. So they've been. Yeah. So with women have been effective transmitters of the hadith. And I would put a challenge to maybe our Western counterparts who, are very proud of their Enlightenment period, that there are more scholars, women scholars of Islam, than there are women philosophers, women thinkers of the Renaissance period and the Enlightenment period combined, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yes, this is my claim. And so when they're telling us these things, they have to realize from what paradigm they're speaking, right? Obviously, the Shahada that's being referred to is in Ayat al-Dain, which is in chapter 202, verse 283 of the Quran.
Yeah.
The longest verse of the Quran is my knowledge. And it says, فَإِن تَضِلُّ أَحَدَهُمَا فَتَذَكِّرُ أَحَدَهُمَا الْأُخْرَى, that if one of them, before that it says, call to witness two people of your men. If it can't be two men, then one man and two women. Yeah, one man of two women, مِنَّا تَضَلَمَ شُهَدَاء, from the shuhada, from the witnesses you accept. Now, this is a particular verse, but it has more implications. Yeah. Question is, why in this context? And the answer is this. The answer is, why is a witness? This is my very important question. Very important question.
Okay, don't get angry, man.
Yes.
Okay.
Why is a witness seen? Yes. Why is a witness and his testimony seen as put in an advantageous position? I'll tell you what I mean by this. Yeah. We know in the punitive laws, if there are 4 witnesses, 3 of them say one thing, and 1 of them say another thing. What happens to all 4 of them?
Oh, Islamically.
Yeah. So if you have 4 witnesses, they see something. Yeah. For example, murder.
Yeah.
But let's not say murder. Let's say zina, like fornication.
And
in Islamic stores,
did happen.
Adultery. Yeah. All 4 of them come forward.
Yeah.
We saw this. We saw this. We saw this. We saw this. 3 of them say one thing. The 4th person says something else.
They all get whipped.
What happens to all 4 of them?
They get whipped.
They all get whipped.
And this did happen.
So this did happen many times. Yeah. The question therefore is a witness is an advantageous position to be in or a disadvantageous position? You wouldn't want to be a witness. Okay, here's the difference here. You think,
and I've been whipped by Chef Man.
You think being a witness is a good thing, which enables you some kind of rights. In Islam, being a witness means that you are susceptible to a physical punishment if you get things wrong. The question is, therefore, we can flip the question once again. Why don't we say, why are men always, put in a position where they have to give witness testimony and therefore, put their bodies at risk?
Yeah.
Because, do you get what I'm saying?
It's true.
And there's a verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, which says that bring the 2 witnesses after the prayer and interrogate them. So witnesses are subject to interrogation, whipping, beatings, if they are doing the...
No, not only that.
So if women were given the same, let's say, rights, so quote-unquote, responsibilities, which is what they are, then I believe the detractors of Islam would be saying, why do you put women in a position where they always have to be whipped?
It's true. Say something that covers the woman, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Because Allah SWT says, in case one of them the other one will correct them.
Yeah.
So they're in a chance where Allah has acknowledged that women can make mistakes. They're even covered, because even if they both get wrong, they'll say, look, we are bound to...
No. There's one man in there as well. There's a man and 2 women in the verse. So
the thing is, they are covered, because they could just say, look, if one gets wrong, but with a man, Allah doesn't give it as, if a man errs. Because Joe, if a man makes a mistake, it's night. With a woman...
And moreover...
I wouldn't want to be a woman in this position.
Yes, I would want to be. And moreover, the question is this. Are men's minds and psychology the same as women's? Absolutely not. Maguire in 1991, she put a study talking about the hippocampus, which is a specific part of the brain which deals with spatial navigation. She put men and women that dealt with the knowledge, which is, as you know, an 18-month course for a black cab driver. And she done MRI scans on them before and after. And what she realized with that is that the grey matter in the hippocampus of men grow more than women. And she concluded from her study, and she was a woman herself, ironically enough, she concluded that therefore men, they have a higher propensity to have spatial navigation. Why is this important to witness testimony? Because if, for instance, a man can better navigate an environment, a physical environment, then
he would be, by extension, more equipped, yes, to give testimonies. To give testimonies, frankly. However, having said that, there are exceptional circumstances of the hadith in Bukhari where a black woman, not only a woman, a black woman, and why am I mentioning black? Because these are categories of individuals who've been downtrodden in society.
The only reason you're just emphasizing on the black woman part is because
of
the society they look down upon.
Society look down upon black people and women, let's say, So there's a double reason for that. But the Prophet ﷺ, he took the testimony of one black woman over and above two people, one man and a woman. She said, I breastfed both of them. It's Bukhari.
Wow.
The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he divorced them both from each other.
Wow.
Based on her testimony. So, in a nutshell, it's not it's not a generalizable rule.
Hippocampus. What is it?
Hippocampus, yeah.
Hippocampus, yeah. So he said for man's navigation is bigger. Like,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that means you've got woman's brain because you're crap with navigation. Absolutely rubbish.
No problem. I'll take that. No problem. All right. Why do women get half of the inheritance that men do? That's a false question as well. Why do women get most? That's wrong. The Quran says
pathetic. Because you know what you're doing. You're defining that just because one gets more,
it's not even correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What they should be asking is that why do brothers get more than sisters? Because that can be generalized. When the Quran says لِلذَّكْرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ, for the boy, the male boy, he gets twice as much as the two girls. He gets as much as two girls. So the boy gets double what the girl gets.
Okay.
But in what context?
Yeah, what context?
Because if I'm a man and I die, yes, I'm going to leave behind my mum and my dad. Yeah, if I die, I have mother and father. And I have, no, forget about the wife now, we won't complicate. Let's just say I've got mother, father, and daughter. Let's say I've got 3 daughters. Mother, father, 3 daughters. Who's going to get the lion's share? The 3 daughters is going to get the lion's share. Yeah, وإن كنا نساء فوق اثنتين فلهما ثلث ما ترك. If there were more than two or more, then they get 2/3. So if it was a matter of men getting more than women, then certainly in this case the father should have got the most.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
but the father doesn't get the most here. Who gets the most? The daughters get the most. So it's not. If I had a son and 2 daughters, he'd get 50%. They'd get 25% each, for example. That's all I left behind. That's different analysis. Yeah, that's a different analysis. So it's better to say there are some circumstances, many circumstances, in which women get more than men, and many other circumstances where men get more than women.
Let's go for argument's sake.
Now, if we're talking about the sister, the brother and the sister, if we're talking about like for like, then in that case we'll say no problem. But then
the woman gets more.
The woman economically, how is that?
Of course, because the question is,
how is that redistributed?
That's what I'm saying. When they say, okay, why does a man get more? I'm saying it's false. Your question is false because the thing is,
so the brother, the brother gets more
because you're deeming that just because one gets more,
yes,
he's got more. No, because the issue is a brother has a responsibility of maybe looking after the parents, the wife, the kids, etc., etc., etc. And if he's married again, then he's got another wife to look after. Whereas the woman, what she gets, she keeps. Not only that, what she keeps, her husband, for example, on top of that, looks after her because he's in the same situation as the brother. Because he's looking after his wife. So who's in a better position? I would want to be a woman again. I'll be honest. Like, as we're continuing, I want to be a woman.
I like
but
this.
Please don't misconstrue that. I mean,
I think you're absolutely right. And this is an argument that Warren Farr made in his book, Myth of Male Power, because he says it's confusion. Here, there's a conflation between gross income and net income.
Oh, that's so beautifully said. Gross and net, that's it.
Yes, gross income,
yes,
men can get more than women. But net income, savings, what you get to keep, women have more than men.
So what we're going to say is very simply, this was beautifully said. Thank you, may Allah bless you. See how I learn. So I'm going to say, you're right. Men get more gross income, but women get more net income.
Yes, brothers get more gross income.
Brothers, yes. I'd rather have net incomes, but there's companies that make millions. So tell you something, there's companies that I've seen, our turnover is £1 million. How much do you get left over with? Well, I've got £10,000 left. Well, but when you see you're $1 million, that's gross. Exactly. But what you're left with, you wouldn't want to invest in that company.
There you have it.
Nah.
Okay. Why do women get only? Why do men have to pay a dowry and not women? Well,
thank God. Once you're caring for us, the question is, why does a woman get it and not a man?
Well, once again, the why here is this. We're talking about illah, the reasoning.
Yeah. We don't know the why.
Allah knows best why. But we're talking about hikmah. yeah, the wisdoms.
Yeah, and we might be mistaking these reasons. We're just giving, I mean, our
Yeah.
hikmah, yeah? We're just giving our...
Allah says in the Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says in the Quran, Surah An-Nisa. He says, وَكَيْفَ تَأْخُذُونَهُ? How can you take it? وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا. How can you take the mahr, the dowry from them? Yeah? And both of you had sexual relations with one another, yeah? And you had between each other a very important mithaq, which means like a binding agreement between you two, yeah? The point is this: nowadays, as you know, there is a culture, and there has always been in human history a culture of, for biological reasons, for predisposed biological, physiological, psychological, and emotional reasons, men wanting to have sexual intercourse with someone and then leave. So you could say, if there was going to be a hikmah, the hikmah might be, wallahu alam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to protect women's honor and protect them from falling into this by forcing a man to pay a kind of insurance. It's kind of like an insurance. So it ensures her best interest.
Security. It's
a security, if you like. That's a gift. I mean, Islam encourages gifts. Whether it's a gift from Muslim to a non-Muslim. Imam Bukhari, he's got a whole chapter on permissibility of taking gifts from non-believers, etc. So
yeah, I think even the Prophet ﷺ, when he slaughtered an animal once, he asked, "Have you given some to our Jewish neighbours?"
Yeah, so giving gifts and taking gifts increases love. So obviously doing that from the very beginning would initiate that kind of love.
What was the question? Sorry,
why is it meant the mahr?
Yeah, also there's security. For like you said before, it's to reassure, because at the end of the day, any man that's in today's time specifically, that security is so needed, because we live in a time where men are messing around girls, and there are some girls that mess around guys as well, but they're messing around girls. And if I'm going to marry somebody, and this is the right of the woman, because at the time of Umar ibn Khattab is that someone complaining the mahr is too high, yeah, and Umar ibn Khattab was going to address the woman, yeah, and a woman corrected him, and he stood up. This is Amir al-Mu'mineen, the one who's in charge of like the ummah. He got up and he said the woman is right and Umar is wrong. Yeah? Because
but that's to be counterbalanced with the fact that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he also said the best mahr is the cheap one.
Yeah, but the sister, you can ask for £1 million. You're not getting married. Simple as that. Ask 1 billion. You're not getting married. Simple as that. Exactly. So that's why it's there to protect the woman, inshallah, against men who are after the wrong things.
Okay.
And she can use it to buy Gucci bags.
Is there a specific legal age for marriage? Obviously, this is in reference to like Aisha and her marriage to Prophet Muhammad. Now, first and foremost, we've done a video on this in King's University, but more importantly, Sheikh Mohammed Uthman, I'm sure you guys know who he is, and if you don't, you should get to know, because it's very well known.
One of our dear teachers.
One of our dear teachers and one of our
Muhaddith, alim. May Allah grant him Jannah.
So he's written an essay on this. You can find it on the Salam publication page. It's a very long essay.
Very good.
It's not that long actually. It's 6,000 words.
Very good.
It's subtitled, so you can easily access it. I would recommend, if you're really interested in this topic, go to the publication section of this website and read his essay. It covers absolutely all the main points. I've read it myself. It's very impressive. People have read it and it's changed their lives. So I would say to you that if you really want to know about
we'll go into details in the White House, inshallah.
But the nutshell is this, really and truly, is that it's about harm. Yeah, it's about reciprocating harm. Yeah. So harming yourself and reciprocating harm. We say that if any marriage to anybody, whether they be X age, if they're older or younger, whatever, it's going to harm them physically, especially physically, yeah? If it's going to harm them physically. And other types of harm, obviously, are a thing as well applicable. Then, that marriage should not be done. And that harm is contingent upon time and place. That's why, for example, what could have been, or what would have been, okay as a marriage at this X time, wouldn't be in Y time. And things, this is part of Islam's called usul al-fiqh. Things change with time. Certain things change over time. And obviously you can refer to the essay for more information. We've done also
Islam is there to take care of the well-being of the person, be it the male or the female.
Exactly.
That's why, for example, we don't have the thing of one shoe fits all. You know,
Next question. Why do men get hurul ayn and women don't have the equivalent of that? Again, there's a false assumption that men are the same sexually as women. Who told you that men and women are the same sexually? I mean, isn't it enough of an evidence from a very simple perspective that men have completely different organs, testosterone, physiologies and biologies to women? Are we to actually assume that men and women have the same sexual inclinations in exactly the same way? That their sexual drives, they operate in exactly the same functionality? Well, if that was the case, then why is it the case that men are continually outstrip women when it comes to pornography, when it comes to prostitution use, when it comes to polygamous relationships, strip clubs, all of these things? Why have men throughout history demanded women more sexually more than women have demanded men? That's my question.
Exactly. And even there was a study done that they say, okay, some women go to male strip clubs. Even the study done, they were saying that most of them that would go, they would say, I would just go because our friends go in, of a variety of reasons. They would not actually go for,
Well, and we're not saying women are not sexual creatures.
No, of course they are.
We're saying they're both sexual creatures, but their sexualities, or the way the sexual mechanisms of both men and women work, because of biological reasons, operate differently. Now, but there's another kind of implicit undertone here, which is as follows. So how comes you have a subordinate, subservient, hur al-ayn, female for a man? Isn't this a patriarchy in heaven? Isn't this a patriarchy? Here's the answer. They haven't done the qira'ah of the Quran. They have not read the Quran because, yes, you do have that. Let's say, yes, you have. You have women who are subservient and subordinate to men in heaven. But you also have males who are subordinate and subservient to women in heaven. Ghilman, Wildan, all of these in chapter 76 of the Quran, chapter 56 of the Quran, all of these, you'll find that you have ghilman, boys, young men who are presenting the food. Servitude. So it's not a matter of matriarchy or patriarchy. It's not a matter of subordinating either of the genders. It's a matter of meeting the need. And heaven, according to the Muslims, is somewhere, subhanAllah, where you get everything you want. Exactly. So including your sexual urges.
Yeah, of course, exactly. What are you going to do? Like what somebody said, we're going to go play the piano. We're going to go through all these tests to go to paradise and play piano and skip.
The person who's asking this question is probably a pornography addict. Probably goes home. You know, sorry to say, but these kind of atheist detractors, I'm not saying all the atheists, but some of them, you can imagine, they come to Speaker's Corner, they come and see us outside, they go to the university.
That's the funny thing, they come to us and they talk about women's rights and they go and beat their wives out.
Even worse, they'll tell you, why is it that hur and ayn, this and that? Well, it's online.
I told them, you're jealous. You're jealous, brother. Be a Muslim and
it's online. I spoke to one of them in Speaker's Corner. It's on SC Dawah channel, I said, what's the problem with hur? What's your issue with it? And then I started speaking to him about this pornography. And he admitted he watches pornography.
Serious?
And he admitted he does all these things. He goes, I like to do a woman and one night stands. He enjoys it. So you're telling me, your experience has told you, this is what he's telling me, He's telling me his experience has told him that sexual encounters with a multiplicity of women, seeing different women, being with different women, that woman, different colors, different nations, different spaces, different forms, that you've enjoyed this, and now you're saying, why is it mentioned in the Quran?
Because this guy is criminal. He's criminal. This is what I'm saying.
What's wrong with
They do it the haram way, they complain us for the halal way.
Yeah. Brother, he likes something, and then he's saying, why am I going to get it in heaven?
It's pathetic.
It's as if to say that this is something you don't enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the wisdom that we can derive from this maybe is that the fact that, for example, we know we live in a society, and every society where, there's fitna, there's, women out there, the desires out there. Now, this can be done in a way where Allah SWT, because of a man, Allah SWT and His Messenger, Prophet ﷺ, has mentioned that the biggest fitna for a man and the weakness is a woman. So therefore, this can be where Allah is describing and saying, look, this is what's promised. Stay away from the haram. Yes. Stay away from the haram. So as a man, you look forward to it. I'll be real with you. This is in a man's nature. Man, when a woman walks in, everybody changes. It's just within our nature. But this can be one of the reasons where Allah is giving this description, actually an in-depth description of how they're going to be, so you can say, you know what, I don't want the haram. Allah's prepared halal for me. And it can motivate and keep you going. And someone said, Numan Ali Khan said, that maybe the fact that Allah wasn't specific with the woman of what she wants is because women, maybe in their nature, they like different things. So Allah wasn't specifically saying, okay, you're going to get a horse. No, because with a woman's nature, Allah has promised them whatever you like,
For that. Now, next one. Can a woman rape, or can a man rape? Can a man rape his wife in Islam? Now, here's the thing, If this was the case, if this was the recourse from a Muslim perspective, the verse in chapter 434, instead of saying, فَعِذُوهُنَّ وَهْجُرُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ, warn them and do this. He should have just said rape them.
Yeah.
You know, if this was the case of a woman, my woman, or a woman, instead of
you said my woman,
any woman,
you own her.
instead of yeah, I could just take what I want.
Yeah.
In fact, the Prophet ﷺ, wallahi, there's a hadith. Wallahi, they accuse, and this is one of the most ridiculous accusations. They accuse the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ of raping Safiya, as you know, and stuff. Yeah?
Oh yeah.
They accuse this. A'udhu billah, yeah? And this really makes someone angry. The truth is this. There's a hadith of a woman who's got, she got different names, yeah? It's in Bukhari. And the hadith is that she got married to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Yes? And then it came to the night of the consummation. And she said, A'udhu billahi mink. Yeah? So she said to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, she goes, I seek refuge in Allah from you. There's a woman, yeah? He married her.
Serious?
Yeah. So he said to her, go back to your family.
Serious?
Yeah, he said, go back to your family. Meaning what? Meaning, yani, you're divorced, don't, yani, if you don't want to be with me, khalas, don't. Maybe she felt anxiety, whatever. Some people have said that Aisha and other wives told her to say that when she was in that position. Yeah, so she basically
which wife is it?
We don't know her full name, yani,
Okay.
whatever, but there's different names in
I didn't know that, man.
yeah,
That's
so
quite powerful.
yeah, so did the Prophet say, I'm going to do it anyways? Yeah, isn't it? This didn't happen, right? So this situation.
Wow, is that offensive?
It's authentic. Bukhari.
Huh?
Bukhari. If there was ever an opportunity for that to take place, it would have been then.
That's interesting.
This kills it for me. It kills it for me. This is not the way of a prophet. This is not. He gave us advice as to how to be with our women. He said you have to, start with a kiss and you have to be gentle and this and that. And you have to give all of those things there. So this is the way of Islam. It's not. This is like the point forward. This is ridiculous. Next question. It says, does Allah curse a woman who does not satisfy her husband? And obviously they're referring to the hadith of the angels.
The angels, yeah.
Okay, طيب.
Yeah.
Why is it assumed that only a woman has to satisfy her husband in Islam and that the opposite is not true?
Yeah,
it's a false assumption.
Answer that.
Simple thing. If a man is not satisfying his wife, she can divorce him.
Oh yeah, it is. And there's a case where the woman came to
obviously we don't say that, I mean a woman go and ask for a divorce or try to make it work.
Or give talaq to the husband.
No, but she can go and get khula. She can make a case against him if he's not doing what he's meant to be doing. The point is, it goes both ways.
Didn't one woman come to the Prophet ﷺ and said, I'm not pleased?
I don't know about the hadith, but we know in that Quran, the woman who came to Surah Al-Mujadala, a woman came to her husband. She said that he said that I'm like my mother's back, which is something they used to say back in the days.
Revelation.
Revelation came down. And so it said that you have to free slaves and you have to fast this month, 2 months or this. Chapter 50 of the Quran is very clear about that. So sometimes you have something which is specific to men, and sometimes you have something which is specific to women. But how comes these people that ask this question don't say, okay, well, to be fair, this hadith is specific to women, but it also includes men. So in other words, men have to satisfy their women as well. In the Quran says they're covering for you and you're covering for them. And it's talking about sexual intercourse. You have to satisfy each other's needs, And they don't realize also there are other hadiths which are women specific, like this Quran verse that came down for women, because this woman was complaining. So once again, I think it's a very cherry-picked, very cherry-picked understanding of Islam.
And not only that, we need to put in context as well, because this is what we need to understand. Anything that Allah and His Messenger has said, there's a reason why it's been said. So for example, they say, how can a man give talaq 3 times and a woman can't? I was looking into the tafsir. The tafsir says back in the Jahiliyyah days, the Arabs used to give talaq like his happy days and then take them back before they can move on. Talaq, before the woman can move on, her iddah period going, they will take them back. That's where Allah legislated. And I'm looking and thinking, subhanAllah, these people who, some ex-Muslims, why does this? When you look into it, Allah and His Messenger, there's always a reason. So with this instance, in Islam, the man is the breadwinner. He's putting his life in danger, working. The wife, of course, plays a role. So, and the man's weakness is a woman. So, put it into context and tell me how you think of it. If a man comes home, he's worked hard, put his life in danger, provide for the family, and the least he wants is to fulfill his desires with his wife. No, but the least, please, at least that's what I just want. Please, I just want to, release myself.
I have to beg.
No problem.
Beg.
So the issue here is to symbolize. Yes, angels be cursing. It's symbolizing, but in context. Not just the husband says, oh yeah, pass me that pen. No, angels are cursing you. The issue here is trying to show you that don't fulfill your husband's desires, and it's the same way around.
Yeah, exactly. It should be. I think you put a passionate plea there for that one. Why can't a woman pray or touch the Quran when they're in their period?
There's a difference between on this matter.
On touching the Mus'haf, they say if she's some scholars say, if she is got memorized some stuff and she needs to do, and there's some verses of the Quran she can do either way, even if she is like, for example, the Dawah verses like Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, the Fatiha, etc. The point is this: is that a man can't do that either if he's in najasa.
Exactly.
If he's in a state of ritual impurity, then he can't touch the Mus'haf.
So the matter here is not that a woman is impure, because in the Jewish law, that when a woman goes to period, she's like unholy. She can't touch nothing.
But not in the Quran.
Yes.
Not in Islam. So in Islam, it's very clear that a Muslim believer cannot be impure.
Yes.
It's a state that they can be in, but it's not that they will be impure.
Yeah.
And that's the famous hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, when he said, I was, and he didn't want to see the Prophet ﷺ because he was in a state of janaba, ritual impurity, and he said, Muslim believers, they don't become impure, but it's a state that you're in. So the same thing applies with the woman in her period. So it's a state that she's in. Just like a man can be in a similar state through, for example, having sexual intercourse or ejaculation. So it's a state. It's a physical state. If you want to ask why specifically with periods, because women have periods and men don't.
But there is an age. But I heard that Aisha Anha in Ramadan, she was reading the Quran and she was on a period.
Yeah, look, I mean, as we said before, there's some scholars who say that she can do it if they've got memorized verses, etc., that they need to recap and things like that. So it's not a rule that is all-encompassing. There are some exceptions.
Qat'i.
No, it's not qat'i. It's not.
Qat'i means
straight. It's qat'i, but it's not. What do you call it?
I'm qat'i in my dawah.
Yeah. Anyways,
how's that sound?
It sounds very good. Why did Allah choose only males to be prophets? And here's once again the assumption, the false assumption, that there should be equality in everything.
Exactly.
Why?
Because I can say, why did Allah choose women to be mothers?
Men to be mothers.
No. Women to be mothers.
Yes.
No, why? Why do they have that closeness with they spend more time with their children, have that compassion, have that love? That's a special bond. I can say, why? Why can't I be? Even though there was one man who tried to be, apparently, but he was a woman.
No, but the thing is, this is a very foolish question, because if you think about the remit of a prophet, the remit of a prophet, number one,
depending on what they go through as well.
No. A lot of them were killed, as the Quran says, etc. But the remit of a prophet is that they're not just deliverers of messages. Messages. They have other roles as well. So they're generals of armies. They are
leaders.
They're leaders in communities. And most of societies of the past, and even in the contemporary period, frankly, don't accept leadership as easily of women as they do of men. Simply,
of course,
they don't, and that's why the United States of America has never had a male president. They've had a female president. They've never had a chance.
Army. Come on. You send women. Come on, let's be real here.
In this country, in the front line, women were not allowed to fight in the front line. I think until quite recently.
Even that study of
and the prophet has to be on the front line. They have to be leading the army. So the point is this, and that's why men are drafted into armies and women are never drafted into armies.
Exactly, getting killed.
So how could you think that men can be drafted into armies? Women don't need to be drafted into armies. Men need to lead armies. Women have never really. There have been historical cases of women leading armies, but it's not the most advantageous position. And then think that this woman is going to have a better impact on as being a prophet, or in this case a prophetess, as than with a man. So all of these factors combined would make us think that, frankly, a man has more physiological, biological, and emotional capability to be a prophet than a woman.
And imagine the fitna, the prophets. We know the prophets, they go through double the pain. If I'm not mistaken. With everything they are tested more, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
Imagine a woman going through that. Imagine the Prophet ﷺ, as a man, as a strong leader, had moments where he was weak. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Imagine if a woman was going through it. And imagine if she became pregnant. Come on, man, let's be real here. And imagine if a feminist is asking that, then I ask you, when you call in the fire brigade, ask for a female fire brigade. Let's see how far she's going to save you in the burning house.
Did the Prophet Muhammad say women will go to hellfire because of their menstruation? No, it doesn't say that. The hadith which is referring to is the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri in Sahih Bukhari or Muslim. I can't remember what. It's a hadith which he says that they're naqsat aqluddin. Very famous hadith where he says that women are lesser in aql. Aql means, if you translate it, intelligence, or intellect, and deen means religion. They are less, i.e., than men. and the beginning of the hadith, it says that they yakfurna al-ashir, that they women, these particular women, they have yakfurna al-ashir means they deny the favors of their husbands. Yes, and that in the same hadith it says that there are more women in hell than men, but these three statements are not connected. So it doesn't say that the reason why women are going to hell is because of their naqs in the deen wal aql. It says in the beginning, the Prophet Muhammad saw X, Y, Z because of women yakfurun al-ashir. Now, why is it that there will be more women than men? Ibn Hajar Asqalani, in his sharh of the hadith, he says that because there are more women than men in the world. That's what his sharh was. Okay. Now, moreover, the second part of the hadith, that women have got less aql and deen. Now, there's a difference between aql and ilm in the Arabic language. Very important, because in English it's roughly translated. Aql comes from the Arabic root word iqal. Iqal, if you've ever seen a horse, and it's the thing that goes on top of the horse's head, it literally means, it steers it. What is this actually suggesting? What is it connoting? It is saying that men have a better control of themselves than women. It's not saying that men have more knowledge than women, because they didn't say naqisat ilm wa din. It says naqisat aql wa din. It's less in aql, not ilm. That's what the hadith says. And this is something feminists agree with. If you look at Simone de Beauvoir's book, in her second chapter, Biology, she says women are more emotional than men, in a nutshell. So it's not something which is controversial in any way, shape or form. Women have a tendency to make emotional judgments more than men in many circumstances, especially when, they are menstruating.
Many reasons. Even if they're not menstruating.
Which is why, even if they're not menstruating, that's the reality of the situation.
And imagine if they were allowed to give talaq. Woo! Every day,
you'll be finished.
You finish every day's divorce.
So the point I'm making to everyone,
their whole life will be divorced.
The point I'm making to you here is, having that, they're not to be held to, and all the shurah of the hadith that I've seen, so they're not to be held to account for these things. So this is part of the beautiful complexity of women. Just as I was speaking to one scholar about this, he said that just as men have an advantage when it comes to aql and deen, men are also naqisin. Yes, he said men are also deficient in what? He said in emotional intelligence. So when we're making a comparison between men and women, if I say women are naqisat, they are lesser in terms of strength, would I be making a factual statement? I don't think generally speaking, it's a factual statement. Women are naqisat when it comes to strength. It's not a controversial statement. If I say women are naqisat as it relates to, for example, speed, physical speed. I mean, we can easily get the track records, 100-meter sprints, and find that out easily. If I say men, on the contrary side, are naqisid, are deficient as it relates to, let's say, for instance, emotional intelligence, empathy, multitasking, whatever it is, there are many things that men are better than women at, and there are many things that men are better than women at. This hadith
is just 2 times.
Is it?
He said there's many times men are better than women. If I'm mistaken, they said there are many times men are better than women.
The Quran says.
I think you meant other way. Women are better than women.
And the Quran says no. I mean, the Quran says, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Do not wish what one of you have over the other. لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَ. That certainly for men is a portion of what they have earned. And certainly for a woman is a portion of what they have earned. In other words, men have certain things which are specific to them that they are better than women at, generally speaking, and the same goes for women.
100%.
Now, this is the last one.
Oh, we're going to get just on there right now? Or?
Does Islam believe women are inferior? Inferior in what context? This is what I'm going to say. In some contexts, women are not as good as men. For example,
not
strength.
As good as I was saying.
No, strength. For example, if we're talking about strength, a woman fight a man, who's going to win? In most cases, the man will beat the woman. Women are inferior to men as it relates to strength. No problem. Men are inferior to women as it relates to, for instance...
Let's say instead of inferior, let's say not as good as.
No problem. I'll use the word inferior.
Let's use not as good as.
Okay, no problem.
Let's just it'll be better.
But I believe they're inferior in these
not
cases.
As good. It's simple, same thing.
It's completely uncontroversial.
Women are not as good as in a fight. They're not as good as when speeding, racing. Yeah.
Yes.
But it might be the case, for example, in general, women are not as good as when it comes. No, men are not as good as when women, for example, cooking, multitasking.
I don't know about this cooking.
Maybe no, but not in general. In general, there is specific cases. So there's a lot of.
Let's not
cases.
use that because the feminists will get angry. There are things which have been proven that women are better than men. Multitasking is not something very easy to just say. It's a very important task. Wallahi.
Yeah.
You could do more than one thing at the same time.
Yeah, that's
Very amazing.
Yeah.
You know. So look, there are even some fields that some people say that women are better. For example, linguistics, languages, communication, emotional intelligence. We said multitasking. Many things that women are better than men. Empathy is a deep psychological state where you can understand what the other person is going through. These are things that you need to be good at, you know. So I think generally speaking we should be seeing, I'll end this inshallah now we've finished. Inshallah. The Prophet Muhammad says that certainly men are equal to women generally. But it also means that they are the twins of women, that they are meant to supplement each other, they're meant to work towards cohesion together. So this is, I think, how I would summarize that. Yeah, that was really good, brothers and sisters. Hope you guys benefited from that, inshallah. Do check out the other misconceptions on theology, punishment in Islam, and qiraat, inshallah. And we've got future, more discussions coming, inshallah, in the next episodes. Till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.